Today, we're going to be checking out the 𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗻 from Electric Eye Audio. What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Taylor and I do all sorts of guitar related stuff like this. On my channel. If that's something you enjoy, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing while you're here. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Silas Fernandez for sending one of these guys out. He has a YouTube channel as well. I will link it down in the description. Awesome guitar player, you should definitely go check it out. Anyways, he reached out to me to see if I would be interested in checking out the 𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗻. It's a pedal that is not at all vague about what its intended purpose is. It is used to help you cut the mud from your guitar tone. Now this pedal has the standard controls you would find on most boost pedals. It has your pre-gain, which is essentially your drive, it has a tone knob, and then it has your post-gain, which is essentially the level going out of the pedal into, presumably, the front of your amp, or whatever you're running it into. Maybe running it into an interface, but I digress. Now that is where the typical features end on this pedal, and you start getting some really cool, interesting features. First up, there's a switch right here that will bypass the pre-gain on this pedal, making it essentially a clean boost. There is a compression switch down here, and that really just helps like if you are playing, a lot of chugs, stuff like that. It will help tighten up the bottom end and make it so there's not such a drastic volume swell when you're hitting, low, chunky, open notes. There is a mud control knob so you can control how much low end is being cut out of the signal. It's labeled fat to skinny, so if you just want to cut out a little bit of low end, you can set it over here to fat. And if you notice that there's just too much low end in your signal and it sounds really muddy, then you can set this over here to skinny and it will really help taper off that low end. And then the last thing here that's really cool and I think is really unique is there's an actual amp switch output on the side of the pedal. Now what you can do with this is if you have an amp that has a 1/4 inch input for a foot switch, you can actually use the 𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗻𝗻 to switch your channels. So let's say you're gonna switch to your clean channel and you don't wanna boost your clean channel. When you turn your boost off, it will switch your amp's channel for you. And the last switch that I didn't mention that's right here in the middle is to change the polarity of the foot switch output. So that way you can make sure that the boost is on when you are on your drive channel and it is off when you are on your clean channel, unless you want it to work that way for some reason. So in today's video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug this guy in and test it out with a 7-string guitar that is in drop G, because if you play 7 or 8-string guitars or any sort of extended range guitars or you tune really low, then you have probably encountered some mud in your tone. When you're playing in those low tunings, it can be kind of difficult to get your guitars to cut through a mix, and that's where a pedal like this really comes in handy. So we're gonna test the pedal out, we're gonna test all the functionality in the pedal, we'll see if we can get it to switch our amp's channels, and then at the end of the video, I will show you what this pedal sounds like in a mix. We'll put it in front of an amp as a boost, and we'll A/B it both on and off, so that way you can see what it's doing to the tone and see the effect that that has on the guitars cutting through the mix. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get over to the demo. What's up guys, I am plugged into my Crank Rev1 Plus. We have the 𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗻𝗻 plugged into the front. I'm using my 7-string Agile, which has Seymour Duncan blackouts in both the bridge and the neck, and it is tuned to drop G sharp, a very low tuning that can get muddy super quickly. This is what the amp sounds like on its own. Let's engage the 𝗵𝗲𝗹𝗻𝗻 and dial it in a little bit. Okay, so right away you can notice some differences in between this and your typical drive pedal like a tube screamer or something like that. They are similar in some ways. With the mud gain, you have a pre-gain control, which is essentially the same as like a drive on the tube screamer. You have your tone control, which is the same as the tone on the tube screamer. Yeah. And then you have your post gain, which is essentially the level out. Now let's talk about how this pedal is a lot different than a tube screamer. You have an option here to bypass the pre-gain, essentially making this a clean boost. Or you can turn the switch on and engage the pre-gain, which is what I like to do because I like distortion. And like you can see, if you were using this pedal as a boost like it is intended, you have more than enough drive to play around with there. I'll turn that back down. This second switch here changes the polarity on the foot switch output, which we will come to later. And this third switch down here is the compression switch, which just tightens everything and makes it a little bit chunkier. Here's with it off. Here's with it on. So like you can see, just a little bit fatter and thicker sounding without introducing any unwanted mud back into your tone. And then over here we have the mud control, which is essentially the highlight of the whole pedal. And this does exactly what it's labeled for. It just gets rid of the mud in your low end. So you have a nice tone that cuts through your mix. Here's all the way on fat mode. Let's turn that up so you can hear the difference. I really like the way that this contours the low end and cuts the mud out without totally neutering your tone. Okay, now let's go back to that foot switch. One of the really cool things about a mud killer pedal is you can use this to switch the channels on your amplifier. So let's say you have an amp like this one, which takes a 1/4 inch foot switch in. You can connect that to your mud killer and change between your channels. Now, essentially what that will do is when you turn the mud killer off, you will switch to your clean channel, and when you turn the mud killer on, you can switch to your distorted channel. And if it does the opposite, so when you turn your mud killer on, it goes to your clean channel, you have this close open switch, which will change the polarity and change which channel is on at the same time as the pedal. Okay, so the mud killer's on and we're on my distorted channel. Okay, let's press the pedal and see if it goes to my clean, not so clean channel. All right, it works. So that's a really cool feature if you find yourself dancing around and trying to turn your boost off when you go to your clean channel. You don't have to press 2 different switches. You could just use this to control your amplifier and press 1 switch and switch the channel and turn the boost off at the same time, or on if you're going to the distorted channel. I think you get the idea. All right, so you guys have heard me play through this. You know what it sounds like, but what does it sound like in a mix? That's what you guys always want to know. So what we'll do in this mix is we'll A/B between just the amp and then the amp boosted with the mud killer, and that way you can hear in a mix in real time how much this is changing the tone from just the amplifier itself. Okay, let's go do that now. Alright, so what do you guys think of the Mud Killer? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you to my patrons, your contribution is greatly appreciated. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.